And I found really the work on the nodes in evolutionary astrology and its origins in the work of Dana Rudyard to be one of the great simple techniques, but profound techniques for opening up the core evolutionary purpose in a natal chart. So over the course of these two webinars, we're going to look at planets conjunct the nodes after having explored planets square the nodes. In the second webinar, we'll try and put some of the complexity of that total vision together, but really we're probably looking at webinars later into the year about how to put a complete vision of the nodes together, because really for the sake of the teaching, we need to stay with the simple principle of what does a planet conjunct the nodes mean for today's purpose and indeed the next webinar. In fact, today we'll focus primarily on planets conjunct the south node. So we want to make one clear technical and philosophical point about planets conjunct the south node. Now, I'll just say one further thing about this purpose. Astrology, it seems to me, as a multidimensional symbolic system that maybe has something to say about our true purpose, that maybe has something to say about our fate or even our future for some people or whatever, it draws us to it. It draws us to it with our questions, existential, personal, spiritual. And astrology can both serve those questions and point us towards greater depth. Or astrology can imprison us into simplistic thinking about ourselves or into feeling defined by our own natal chart. And when we approach these profound themes in today's webinar, it's worth bearing in mind that point. These are notes towards an astrology of liberation, if you like. I'm only interested in identifying my own or others' cages or prisons so that people have the chance to step free of those prisons or cages. That is the purpose. So identification of difficult material, or what we might call karmic material, or in looking at a chart from the angle of soul memory, as it were, we are wanting to do so in order to give people increased power and choice and freedom. This is not an astrology that promotes the idea that simply because we can understand something difficult about the past or something about our chart, that we are contained or confined or doomed to repeat that forevermore. From my point of view as a psychotherapist of 15 years standing, this is simply anti-therapeutic, and it's a dangerous mode within astrology where the anti-therapeutic is taught as if it's an ancient wisdom, that you are controlled or defined by your planetary positions. This is not the point of this in-depth analysis. What is the nature of the in-depth analysis? What is the nature of the Pluto school? What is the nature of interlocking psychotherapeutic work and a spiritual astrology? And how might an understanding of the lunar nodes and what I've called the destiny line as an extrapolation from the work of Dana Rudyard. Dana Rudyard's work sits as the core of the 20th century's psychological and spiritual astrology, and it underlies the movement that is called evolutionary astrology today, that was represented very finely by figures such as Jeffrey Green or Stephen Forrest. But really the roots of those teachings come from Rudyard's contemplation of Indian astrology, theosophy, and his own astrological meditations. This work about the destiny line comes from Rudyard, and the destiny line is perceived here to be an evolutionary momentum from the south node of the moon to the north node of the moon, represented here by the arrow at the top of the wave. Now, the wave here, as I've mentioned before, refers to levels of consciousness. The moon level refers to the most personal level of evolution. And the moon level here is our conscious activity as we walk our path, as we ourselves kayak or propel ourselves in terms of our personal momentum along the destiny line. And because it's the most personal signature, the moon, we find that the destiny line is the most easy to engage with principle. This is what I've found repeatedly through my work, that the lunar nodes, because they refer to the moon, are the most personal access point for understanding evolution.